Hi everybody, so today I wanted to do a tutorial. I haven't done one in a long time, and I haven't done a tutorial as a talk through in a long time. I feel, at least from what I can remember, even my videos up until I kind of went on my little hiatus, I did not do a talk through tutorial, tongue twister. So I wanted to do that today just because I have the time, I have the room to myself, so it's kind of just something that I want to get back into. So it's gonna be on this look right here. It's kind of like a burgundy purpley smoky eye, just a natural cheek. So yeah, it's really simple and easy, and it's using really inexpensive products. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you want to see how to get it, just keep on watching. Okay, so to start off, I already have my foundation on, I have my hair pulled back, my eyebrows done, and I do have a little bit of cream contouring going on, but nothing too drastic, just to add a little bit more dimension to my face right now. And I'm gonna go in with some bronzers and blushes and stuff later. So to start off, I'm going to be using like a few different inexpensive Wet n Wild palettes. I wanted to use them because there's actually a bunch that recently came out. I have the Au Naturel palette. So these two came out in Walmart recently. I don't know the exact pricing of these, but they're really inexpensive. I think they're around like maybe $5 or $6, and they're similar to the Naked 3 and the Naked Original palette. And then they also have two other ones that came out a few months ago maybe, and then this one is just like a purpley one, and then this one to me still looks similar to like the Naked Original palette, but it's definitely different than the other one that I just showed. So I'm gonna be using a bunch of those. Those don't really have a lot of matte, like medium to light brown shades, so I'm actually gonna pull in an oldie but a goodie. This is the It's Judy Time palette. This came out a while ago, but it does have a lot of nice like just matte medium browns that I can use in my crease. So I'm gonna start off, and then let me just grab a brush for this. I'm gonna do my highlight first. Now I personally like a shimmery highlight, so I'm gonna go in with this palette, and this is the Bare Necessities palette. And it has like a light goldy, like a golden white shade. And I'm gonna pick that up onto my flat shader brush. This is the E55 by Sigma. And the way that I apply my highlight to my brows is I start by applying it right at the highest point where my arch is, but I pull it down, kind of just following my socket line. The reason I do this is because it allows for an easier blend later on. And what you can do also if you're doing this so that it's not just like a harsh line that goes straight down, is I start to kind of fade it up here on the inner corner of my brow. So when I do my eyeshadow, I prefer to work from the top all the way down to the lash line. So I'm gonna go in and start working on my crease now. So I want to do a bunch of like warm browns. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with this shade right here from the BH palette. And I'm picking this up onto a MAC 224 brush. And I'm just going to start buffing this into my crease. And having that like initial highlight shade will just allow for an easier blend when you start getting up towards the brow. My plan for this look, even though it's going to be a lot more neutral, is to kind of layer and get kind of a lot of dimension to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a bunch of shades for my crease. So what I'm going to start off with is this shade right here from that same It's Judy Time palette. But I'm also going to take the Au Naturel palette in the shade Nude Awakening, which is similar to like the Naked 3, so if you have that. But I know that like Coastal Scents and a bunch of other brands have like eyeshadow similar to this, and also in like some of the Tartelette palettes you'll find shades similar. So this is the shade that I'm going to be mixing with that. It's kind of like a dusty rose. It looks a lot lighter than it shows up. I used this earlier and I was actually quite surprised with how deep it turned out on my skin, at least. So I'm going to start off first with the Dusty Rose shade just to kind of get an idea of the depth that I want. And you can see it doesn't necessarily change the eye look too much, but it will add a bit of that rosy tone that I want in my crease, because I want to use that really plummy color in this palette. And then going back with that BH color since again this has a little bit more of like a red tone, which is what I'm going for. Just kind of buff it and bring it down towards like the outer lid area. To keep the plum theme going and then also to add in some depth, I'm going to add 2 different shades. So I'm going to first go in with this shade right here from this palette, and then I'm going to go in with the It's Judy Time palette, and there's this really, really pretty burgundy shade. So I'm going to use that as well. But first I'm just going to take this to add that tone that I want, since the one from the It's Judy Time palette is just a little bit more brown. And again, I'm keeping this one mainly focused on like the outer lid and outer crease area, and just kind of lightly buff it in. Start off with less and work your way up. That will help you get the easiest blend. Also, it will help you get less fallout and things if you do your foundation first like I did today. So we're almost done with the crease. I'm going to just add a little bit more depth in the outer corners, just because I'm kind of feeling a little bit more of a smoky look today. So I'm going to go in with the matte black. So what I'm doing is I'm just dipping my brush into that product, and I'm going to really, really tap off the extra, just because black, in my opinion, is really easy to get out of control and just kind of take over a look, and I don't want it to take away from the colors that we already have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my brush really far away and just lightly start feathering in this color. So I didn't mention this as I was going along, but I do want to quickly mention it. Depending on how like much darkness you add and how good you blend and all of those things, I do go back and forth between like wiping off my brush and just, you know, dry blending it and then actually adding color in. So definitely take your time and slowly add color, but don't forget to like wipe off your brush, or even just take a clean brush and just kind of like buff over all of the work that you've done so far to make sure that it's very seamless and it's blended. For me, I kind of really always have to focus on blending it out right here in the crease, and really on the outer corner is where I have like the hardest time blending it. So I always just go back in with either the same colors that I use in the crease, or I'll just go in with a dry brush depending on how dark I want the look to be, and just kind of buff around the edges. So just a quick tip, just keep going back and forth and blending as needed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on my lid, but since the primer that I have on, I mean, it's still a little bit tacky, but I want the color to pop really well. So I'm going to take the NYX Milk eyeshadow base, or the, what is this, jumbo pencil? And I'm just going to take a little bit of this, and the way that I apply it is I literally just kind of tap it onto my lid, just because this is really, really creamy and I don't want to get too much of it. And I just kind of blend it through with my ring finger. You can use a brush, I just find it's easier and blends better with like the heat on your fingers. So originally I wanted to go in with the Bare Necessities palette again and take this like really light pinky gold color, and I think I'm still going to use that, but I do want to add in a little bit of like a brighter color just to kind of add a pop of color. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this on the lower lash line, but I think I might want to do this on the lid. So I'm going to take this purple right here from the It's Judy Time palette, and I'm just going to take this onto a flat shader brush. So pick this up and tap it right on top of that jumbo pencil. And sorry if you guys can hear the people in the hallway. Once I have that purple down, I'm taking a little bit of that pink color and I'm just going to tap this right on top. It's not really going to change much of the overall look of the shadow, but it will kind of tone it down a little bit and kind of make it not as cool of an eyeshadow. So once I'm done placing that, again, I'm going to go in with my brush and just lightly buff the edges, since using that eyeshadow in conjunction with the NYX Jumbo Pencil can create a harsh line. So I'm going to start working on my lower lash line just to balance it out. So I'm taking the Jordana 12 Hour Made to Last eyeshadow pencil in Continuous Almond number 4. Now I think mine is kind of drying out, which is weird because I didn't really use it that much. So I might do a review on these just because I feel like it dried out just sitting in my desk. So, but this is what I'm using just as like a creamy base. So I'm going to run this along my lower lash line and just blend it out. Just because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to clean a lot of brushes, I'm just going to take the same brush that I used for my highlight, and I just wiped it off, and I'm going to use this to apply color to my lower lash line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to probably use the It's Judy Time palette and just kind of use some of the colors that I used in my crease to balance out the look. So what I'm going to probably do, actually, I might do something a little bit more bronzy. So I'm going to take this one first, and then I might deepen it up along the outer corners with this shade right here. So first I'm going to take that more bronzy tone just on the tip of the brush. Don't forget to tap off the excess when you're using colors on your lower lash line, just because it's easy to get into your eye. So I'm just going to run this along the lower lash line. And to finish up the actual eyeshadow look, I'm going to just take a little bit of that same highlight color, and I like to apply it right here along the inner corners and then just drag it up again where we originally pulled it on the inner crease, and this will just brighten up your eyes and open them up a little bit more. Okay, so I finished up my eyes just by applying a little bit of mascara and eyeliner. So the mascara I use is the CoverGirl Lash Blast, the original one, and then I just use the NYC liquid liner and just line my lids like normal. I just did that to save on time. So now that the eye look is done, I will just kind of come in closer so you guys can see. I'm going to work on the cheeks. So to start off, I'm just going to take the Wet n Wild Color Icon in Ticket to Brazil. As you can tell, I really love this. I rarely hit pan on products. I probably will film a makeup collection while I'm here in college, just to kind of show you guys how I store my makeup. But yeah, it's really rare for me to hit pan on certain products. So I really do like this, and it's super inexpensive. So what I'm doing is I'm just picking it up onto a brush. This is just like a no-name brush from Amazon, and I'm going to tap off all the excess because I don't want there to be too much product on the brush. And I already have a little bit of a cream contour on, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply this under my cheeks. And as you can tell, I do have my hair shaved on this side. So what I do is I just kind of pull it up into my hairline, and it's looking a lot more dramatic in camera. I actually don't know why. It doesn't look nearly that harsh in real life. But I'm just going to go ahead and start blending this through. Now, I do have a healing tragus piercing right now, so I don't blend it so much right here just because I don't want to get too much product in my piercing, but if you don't have that issue, just make sure you blend really well by the edge of your ear. And then once I have that, I can start pulling some product along my jawline, which I always like to do to hide a little bit of the fluff. And then I do like sometimes, if I do a cream contour, to just leave the cream contour on my forehead. But right now, since the look is kind of dramatic, I'm going to add a little bit of the powder on top, just to kind of balance everything out. But I find that because I have a small forehead, sometimes I don't like to go crazy with the bronzer. So now that I have the bronzer placed, it doesn't have to be perfectly blended by any means just yet. I'm going to go in with the sponge that I use to apply my foundation and just any old powder. Sometimes I use a colored powder that actually has like a beige tone, but right now I'm just using a translucent powder, and I'm going to just carve out my cheekbones. Now the reason that I do this sometimes is, one, because I can kind of go a little bit crazy with the bronzer, but also because this will just clean up and sharpen your cheekbones to make them stand out a little bit better. So I'm just going to kind of do that. I just get like a lot on the sponge. And because this is a translucent powder, it's not showing up as much as if you use like a beige tone or like a regular face powder that's just lighter than your skin tone. So I do that, and the only area that I let this kind of sit and cook is my cheekbone. So you can bring it up a little bit more. Sometimes I will just to kind of mess with it, make it as clean as you can, and kind of play with the shape a little bit that suits your face shape best. So now that I have that, I'm going to let that sit and look crazy for a minute while I apply my blush. So the blush that I'm using today is Healthy Rose number 9, I believe, from Sephora. And this is what it looks like. And I'm just going to take this onto the same brush I just wiped it off and apply this to my cheeks. For my highlight, I'm going to be using the new Hard Candy Candlelit Duos. And then this one, I don't think that there are names for these, but this one is the more like pinky, beigey tone. There is one that's a little bit more gold, but I'm using the more pink toned. And I'm just going to take this color right here and apply this to the tops of my cheekbones. Again, just using the same brush. And then I also go down my nose just slightly, just in the center. Just because I have dry skin, so this kind of adds a little bit of dewiness. So I have just 2 more steps that I want to do. One is I'm taking the same brush that I use to apply all my cheek products. Normally I don't do this just because I don't like to have to wash brushes every day, but I did just use the same brush, so I wiped it off onto a clean towel. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buff all of this together. So the way that I do this is I start right here where I originally put that powder down to kind of get rid of that. But then I start working in circular motions all over my cheeks. Now you're probably like, if you created that line, why are you just going over and buffing it? Because the reason that I personally do that is to clean up my bronzer, not necessarily to give me that really strong definition. If you wanted to keep that strong line, even though yes, it does still stay a little bit, if you wanted to keep that, just don't buff over that line as often as I am right now. So this is what I'm doing, and hopefully you guys will be able to see the difference between the two. So this one does have a lot of color, it does have that bronze, that highlight, but it's a lot more natural looking. So I'm kind of going for that more natural cheek. I normally don't do this, I just kind of have been preferring it lately. So that is what I've been doing. If you don't want it to be as natural looking and you want it to be a little bit more intense and dramatic, go ahead and just skip this like really buffing step and just kind of apply it and just leave it the way it was. Alright, so we're done with the look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't mind my hair right now. I just kind of pulled it down. It air dried, so it's kind of looking a little crazy, and I just shaved it again really short. So it's looking a little intense, but I kind of am liking the look. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget also, I always list all of my social networks in the bottom bar, so you guys can go check me out on those. Definitely follow me. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe if you guys haven't already. I do also list some affiliate links below. The only one that I know of specifically off the top of my head that I do have a discount code for is City Color Cosmetics. If you want to get 10% off, use the code DollyPop23. I will probably put it right here. If not, it'll be in the bottom bar below. So you guys can go check that out and use that to get some money off. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed again, and I hope to see you in my next one. But until then, bye guys.